Hey there, everybody. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. We've hit the beginning of February. Dry January, for some of you, is behind us. And we got another beer review coming up. This week, struggle a little bit with coming up with something for review. And so, this week, I'm going to debut something called Crap I Found in My Fridge. What that is just plainly simple. It's beer I found stashed away in the back of either my fridge or my beer fridge. I don't know why it's there. It's something I picked up, thought I would try. Haven't tried. Don't know how long it's been in there. Can't remember when I bought it, so it's going to be interesting. We'll find out. Apparently I bought it for all intents and purposes of doing a review, but never either got around to it or just got sidetracked. So we're going to fire that up today and get one of them started, and we'll figure it out. So our first beer that we got for Crap I Found in my fridge is out of Kentucky. Specifically, it's out from Lexington Brewing and Distilling Company. And now you can probably see why it's been sitting in the back of my fridge. It is their Ketucky Tangerine Cream Ale. Why in God's name I bought this? Again, don't know how long it's been sitting in there, but I found it. Obviously, it intrigued me for something. I had some reason to do it, with some other stuff, or just, figured, we'll see what the hell Tangerine Cream Ale tastes like. The name kind of threw me off. I thought, something, with it of, is there like some type of Kentucky Cream Ale that I don't know about? But being stupid, didn't realize, hey, it's Lexington, Kentucky, so hence the name Kentucky Tangerine Cream Ale. This is also a beer that is aged in bourbon barrels. So we'll see what that helps to do, or what it adds to or doesn't add to the flavor of this. And this beer comes in at just 5.5%. So it's not going to be particularly strong that we would get for some of these bourbon barrel aged beers. Some that we have get into the double digits, and when you crack them open, particularly like Goose Island, that thing just reeks of bourbon when you open that beer. So we're gonna go ahead and get this beer cracked, get it poured. Before we do that, it's Bagel and Booze, so you know what that means. It's time for a more you know moment. What else then? We'll do a little bit about tangerines. There is some kind of misconception for tangerines. Tangerines are indeed a hybrid of mandarins. You can argue that tangerines are mandarins, but not all. All tangerines are mandarins, but not all mandarins are tangerines. And where that kind of comes from is that mandarins are originally native to South Asia, and then they end up in North Africa by way of the Silk Road trade. And this is here where we kind of get that name tangerine, as they were shipped to the rest of the world out of the port of Tangiers, Morocco. But these aren't the tangerines that we know, because these items that are shipping in the mid-1800s, they are still mandarin oranges or some derivative thereof. And tangerine is just kind of applied, it's actually spelled as Tangiers, so it's Tangier, and this means of or from Tangiers. It's later simplified to just tangerine, where you drop the I out of Tangier. So the tangerine that we kind of know today actually originates back from the 1860s. As I said, they started importing or importing. We're going to talk about importing here to the U.S. In the mid-1800s, and it kind of really comes to the forefront in the 1860s with the introduction of the Darcy Tangerine, which is named for a Colonel Francis Darcy. This Colonel Darcy, he acquires the seeds for his fruit from, I'm going to butcher the name, the Morangi tangerines. I know I probably butchered that to a massive degree, but these are thought to be some of the first mandarins that are brought to Florida, backed by a major adway. Not really sure when it kind of comes. There's some rumors of a Italian diplomat bringing them to New Orleans, bringing mandarin trees to New Orleans, but that's kind of really unsubstantiated. The real kind of fact is that this major Atway imports these mandarins into Florida, and then in around about 1843, he sells his groves. So obviously they've been coming in for some time, to an N.H. Morangi, butchering the name again, and then this Colonel Darcy purchases seeds from this individual. And so they're obviously, this is where they're coming from, the mandarin oranges. And then in 1867, Darcy's trees begin to bear fruit, and this is where they start. And the fruit that they produce is distinct from the parent tree. And then in 1870, his tangerines start to grow in popularity. 1877, the Florida Fruit Growers Association actually recognizes the DANCY, I think I've been saying Darby, the DANCY Tangerine as a new variety. And then in 1890, prior, or I should say before this, in the 1870s, to when he dies, DANCY is handing out, cuttings of his trees to other growers. They start to grow in popularity throughout the state of Florida. And then DANCY goes and dies in the 1890. And the Rolston Nursery, they take over, they purchase, they start to commercially cultivate, and quickly this becomes one of the most popular, variations of the tangerine in the early to mid 20th century. And these plantings start to spread out from Florida. They go to California and Arizona. Texas gets some, because these are the only states, as we know, with citrus that can kind of handle the weathers. This continues, like we said, through the 20th century, and then all of a sudden, about 1970, they start to die out for a variety of reasons. They can't handle long distance. Their rinds are real kind of thin, so they tear. They're prone to damage. They have a low resistance to disease, and the DANCY Tangerine is also a very seedy. Now, prior to this, in the 1970s, they are the most popular tangerine that's there. And they go to, kind of worldwide, and it's kind of interesting that the mandarin comes from Southeast Asia, kind of comes through and hits here to the U.S., only to go back to Asia as within the tangerine. And China is, surprise, surprise, one of the world's producers of tangerines, within California being the majority of the U.S. Production. The DANCY Tangerine still plays a big part because it produces out different hybrids that are then more resistant to disease. They can travel long distance, and then they continue to spread the popularity of tangerines. I tried to look. There is no National Tangerine Day. So because we got Kentucky, we got bourbon aged, we'll go with, there's a National Bourbon Day, and that is June 14th. And it's tied to that day because that's the legend, is that Elijah Craig first distills out bourbon. So we'll tie it in. Again, I couldn't find any actual credibility of the National or International Tangerine Day, so it is what it is.
I drink and I know things.
So as you can see, we have everything all poured out. It sets up. It's a nice, decent kind of creamy looking ale. It sets up with a very nice whitish, light colored head that's to it. A little cloudy, which I guess we kind of expect off of that, but there we go. It's a little bit better. Nice clear amber, that amber type ale that we have. We'll go ahead and give it the old sniff test. I'm getting vanilla. That's predominantly flavor. You get some citrus overtone off of it. So we'll go ahead and give it the old taste test. That is, it's interesting. Um, it's a little bit, I get some of that creaminess. It's well balanced. I'm not getting anything coming through of the citrusy flavor. Definitely getting more of the vanilla. So, it is got that cream ale type. If you ever drank Genesee cream ale, so it's got a nice smoothness to it. It's got a hint. I'll put it in there. It's got a hint of the citrus flavor. It's not overpowering. Just based upon looking at everything, I thought it was going to be, just taste like kind of nasty citrus, but it's actually not too terrible. As I said here and continue to drink it, so it's obviously not too bad. I was expecting it to be on the worst side. I'm actually pleasantly surprised off of this. So, I don't know. I'll give it a 4. We'll give it a 4 off of this. It's very easy to drink. Nothing's really jumping out. The tangerine may scare some people away, but on this one, I'm not getting it. It's basically kind of a decent setup of a cream ale that comes through. So with a hint of the citrus, which is nice. I guess I could kind of see throwing in like an orange slice with this to kind of balance it out, like you would get on like a Blue Moon or something like that. So it works. I'm pleasantly surprised. Obviously, it was tucked away in the back of the fridge, and we got a pleasant surprise off of it. I was kind of expecting the worst, and we got some of the best. So now we're gonna find out: will it chug? So we have about a half of glass left of our beer, so we're going to give it the old chug test, find out if we get anything different, get any different type of flavor profile, if we get anything that changes, would kind of make us change like our rating. As we've seen for some of these, kind of we get a little bit more intensity of the flavor that comes through. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get it ready to chug. Get that set there, and bottoms up. So obviously it's chuggable. Um, I guess a little bit. Like we have on we done on the other ones, we get a little bit more intensity. This one, a little weird. I do get more intense off of it, but I'm trying to figure, what it is. It's definitely not the fruit. It's just kind of it hits you. So it's that, I guess a little bit more of that vanilla creaminess, kind of comes through. And then you got the, kind of the beer bitterness that you would kind of get on your beer, and that kind of hits off of that. So it really didn't change too much. It's still kind of the same as when we were sipping it. So it's about the same. Not much difference, not much better, not much worse. So obviously it's chugs, doesn't really change our impression. So with that, I'm done. This is done. We're done. So I thank you for tuning in for another edition of Bagel and Booze, and we will catch you later. Thanks.